Good evening, dear professor and my group mates. I want to present you my speaking assignment 2, which is based on my writing assignment 2, review and reflections. So in this presentation, I want to talk about my writing assignment 2 and the main findings and conclusions that I have found out when I was writing my writing assignment 2, and then I'm going to introduce you my reflection on my writing skills that I have tried to use in my thesis. So the first thing that I want to talk about is my introduction chapter, where my main rhetorical purpose was to provide background information on the benefits of teacher-student relationships and emotional intelligence, which are the main focus of my thesis. So below you can see the example which is taken from my first draft on introduction chapter, and in that example you see that I tried to provide background information on the benefits of teacher-student relationships. So I read several papers and I tried to analyze and synthesize that information by providing that so in the quote that you see in the slide. I think that I have managed to achieve my goal. However, I still have some challenge that I need to deal with, and that is to justify the need for my study. Since according to my instructor, the reason that I have provided in my introduction chapter, which was not any research being conducted in Kazakhstan to explore the relationship between teacher-student relationships and emotional intelligence, so that reason is not really sufficient to justify the need for my study. So that has to be mentioned in my next version of my introduction chapter. The next, I want to talk about my literature review chapter, in which my main rhetorical purpose was to introduce the nature of my study. And since my main focus is still teacher-student relationships, I tried to introduce the main theories regarding teacher-student relationships and their effects on students' academic performance, their learning skills, and their behavior at school. So you see the example given in the slide. So that quote provides information on the effect of teacher-student relationships. I have also focused on my emotional intelligence in my literature review. However, it has not been done at the same depth as the information regarding teacher-student relationships. However, at the same time, I feel I need to work more on connecting language in my paper, since I haven't been really good at giving an opportunity for my reader to follow my arguments. I feel as my literature review is a little bit dry and full of facts, and it lacks my own voice. So that has to be my main focus in the next version of my literature review. At the same time, I haven't really explored a conceptual framework of my thesis. I guess the reason for that might be not really confident knowledge of what conceptual framework is. So that is why I need to read more on that issue, on that area. The next one is my methodology chapter, in which my rhetorical purpose was to explain and justify my quantitative research, data collection instruments, and data analysis approach. So you see the example in the slide. That example explains the reason why I have chosen to use a statistical approach, which is SPSS, in my thesis. And talking about challenges, I feel there are no really significant challenges in my methodology chapter, and it might be connected with the reason of methodology chapter having been written earlier at least once when we had to apply for ethics committee, and at that time we tried to work with those questions that I tried to answer in my methodology chapter. Regarding my reflection on writing skills, having written the first draft of my thesis and received feedback from my supervisor, I feel that I still have to work on improving my academic English. I guess some paraphrasing and analyzing, synthesizing skills, they were at least more or less good level, but I feel like my just academic English in terms of grammar and word choice is not really developed yet. As well, I have to use more meta commentaries in my paper in order to include my own voice in the thesis. And the last, in my literature review, I have to rely more on primary sources in order to show my deep exploration of the studies conducted in the area of teacher-student relationships and emotional intelligence. I have found out that in my literature review I focused more on secondary sources, which is not really applicable in my in master's degree thesis. So that was my main reflection on my writing skills, my main findings. I hope you have enjoyed my presentation. Thank you so much for watching me.